We were told weeks ago that South Korea wouldn't be renewing its military intelligence sharing agreement, or GSOMIA, with Japan. But as we approach the actual date of its expiry, November 22nd will be the agreement's last active day, the reality is setting in. And so too is pressure on Seoul to reverse the decision to allow GSOMIA to expire. So what are the chances of a South Korean U-turn? The US is certainly going to do what it can to persuade Seoul that maintaining GSOMIA is in everyone's interest. Back in August, when Seoul publicly reached its decision not to renew the agreement, the US expressed disappointment and concern. That was itself worrying from an alliance perspective, that Washington seemed to be siding with Japan and not taking sufficient consideration of why Seoul felt forced into the decision because of Tokyo's ongoing trade restrictions on the basis of security and not feeling able to trust South Korea. But also, it's not surprising given that Washington backed GSOMIA from the start because it would create a stronger trilateral military bond in the face of potential North Korean threats. So we've seen reports that Seoul is being pressured to pay more for stationing the US military in the South, and that pressure may be partially linked to GSOMIA, but senior US State Department official David Stilwell was widely quoted recently during a trip to Japan promoting the benefits of the agreement to both Seoul and Tokyo, and strongly encouraging both sides to find creative solutions. And we're likely to hear more of that when Stilwell visits South Korea on November 5th. But can Seoul be persuaded? Frankly, the easiest persuasion would be if Japan were to lift its trade restrictions. The trouble is, that takes us further back to last year, as Tokyo's trade moves have been seen as a retaliation to South Korea's Supreme Court ruling ordering Japanese firms to compensate victims of Tokyo's wartime forced labor, and then we can go back over decades of unhealed colonial-era wounds. Now that military, diplomatic, and economic issues have been tied together, they somehow need to be untied. Otherwise, South Korean President Moon Jae-in will have no justification at home to renew GSOMIA. After all, if you can't import key tech products from Japan because they don't trust you, how can you share sensitive military intelligence? There's still some hope, though. Japanese leader Shinzo Abe and visiting South Korean Prime Minister Nak-yon agreed around a week ago now that cooperation on North Korea is important. Both sides seem to recognize the value of staying close to the US too. If we can see a summit between Abe and South Korean President Moon Jae-in by November 22nd, they might just be able to find a creative solution that Washington's been calling for. And then GSOMIA could go from being a sticking point to a catalyst for better relations.